Max Holloway, he's a beast, bro. Like that, fighting that dude, like you have to be on your A game. So he first time I ever got finished in a fight was Max Holloway.
I thought he was going to your pop to your body, and then you're like,
he hit me with a body kick.
Yeah,
and that was the first time. First time I was like, that's what that feels like.
You should probably like,
oh shit.
I wonder my shit was popping out too, like Donald.
Yeah, and I swear that's funny you said that. I guarantee it was. He hit me, I was like, oh shit. And then he just teed off on me. Yeah. He got the title, and like big ups to him, man. Like great fighter. So like that was my 45 run, and that was the worst weight cut of my life. Crazy thing happened though before that fight. My cars got blown up in front of my house.
Your cars got blown up in front of your house? In
front of my house.
You owe people money? You with the mafia?
Everybody said that, bro. So like I purposely bought a house in Milwaukee across the street from my dad, where my dad was buried. So my house was like a block away from my dad's burial site. The only nice houses in that area.
Yeah.
But it's so close to the city. Yeah. So the city could it's not a gated community. You drive right in. So I went to Thailand, and I was training in Thailand, and the fight got announced for Max. I started training camp that night. I just bought a brand new Range Rover too. I remember it. I picked it up I flew home from Thailand, picked up my new Range Rover. It was like a black sport HSV, like the big one, the autobiography one, the nice one. Pull up in my driveway. I just picked up my nutritionist. Like we were just getting ready to start camp, and then I hear like these pops, pop. I'm like, at nighttime, I'm sleeping. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I walk in my front door. It looks just red as hell. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I thought there was like lights shining on my house. Yeah. And I open the front door, flames everywhere. I'm like, what, bro? Fire. Like Serge living with me at the time. Yeah. And my nutritionist, first night there, and we go outside, like all my cars are on fire. What the fuck? A boat. It was a Porsche, a Range Rover, Jaguar, a boat, and another Porsche. Yeah. So
damn, man, you living good. Got all these. You got 2 Porsches, Range Rover. Fuck you. Okay.
That was my Milwaukee house. Yeah. So the cars all get blown up, on fire. Like I'll show you the pictures of this. Like my driveway was like in inferno. Like so I call her, and like she was in Vegas at the time. I'm like, my cars are on fire. I thought like the new Range Rover I bought, like something happened to it. Yeah, I'm like, it had to be a malfunction. Yeah. And we didn't even know. Like no one. There was no threats. There was no like, you owe me money, pay this, or I'm doing this. Like it was just out the blue. Wow. But I had a lot of friends that lived with me, and like when I wasn't in town, because I was traveling so much at that time, and like I still don't know the story. So like the kids that did it, the little kids, 13, 15, 16. The main kid was like 17. His name was like Junior Moreno or some shit. I got the police report. Yeah. But they started like writing me letters and like, yo, I know, like, I'm sorry, like you worked really hard for your stuff. So it was like a gang initiation. That's what the story is. It was a gang initiation. They saw our shit and
blow that shit up and put you in a gang.
Put you in a gang. Wow. And little kids though, man. I'm like, so they're like, do you want to press charges? I'm like, man, these kids are 13, 15. I'm like, I'm not gonna like ruin these kids' lives. They fucked me up. Like, no one died. Like, luckily, like, and my daughter wasn't there at the time, so that was grateful for me, because her room was like the first room right by the driveway. Yeah. And like the master bedroom was behind that. So I'm like, man, thank God she wasn't there. She was with her mom at that time. Yeah. But yeah, so like that's how I started that training camp. And I'm like, should I pull out this fight? I'm like, fuck that. Like these kids ain't gonna like make me change my life because at that time I didn't know what was going on. Like I didn't know what happened, why it happened.
Shit blew up.
Yeah, it just blew up. And I installed cameras, because I didn't have cameras at the time. I installed cameras, put all that shit on. Make sure I had everything like legit. So I remember like for that Max Holloway camp, we're going to strength and conditioning. My nutritionist, shout out to Lutrition. He was one of the good guys. He was driving my new Range Rover. I just got a brand new Range Rover, driving me to strength and conditioning. We see on my camera at the time, I forget what even had. These little kids were jumping into my new Range Rover, stealing my shit. Yeah, so like I call the cops immediately. We drive back ASAP, and like that's how we caught them. Yeah. So like, they caught them on that, and that's how the whole story came out.
Gotcha. That's okay.
But they were like going to show like their friends like what they did. Yeah. Trying to like brag about it type shit. And then they stole a pair of glasses that was like $1,500. So it was over $1,000, and I was like, fuck that. Now I'm pressing charges.
now I'm fucking mad.
Now I'm pressing charges. Now you're fucking with me, because I didn't know at the time. But yeah. So then that training camp was just it was like an emotional disaster. So I didn't make weight. That was my first time ever missing weight. Wow. Because emotionally,
what was the shit you're doing?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, obviously people don't want to make excuses, but we're all human. We're all dealing with shit, besides like fighting. Like fighting's its own beast itself. Yeah. But if you're trying to live a peaceful life, trying to train, get ready for a fight, but you got kids blowing up your shit. Crazy. And you're going to the gym, you get on the ring camera, you see them still stealing shit. It's like, you can't focus.
I didn't know how deep it was. I'm like, what is this about, right? But then like once the story came out and it was like these little just random kids just had that, and like, I didn't know that until after the fight. But like during that time, it was like, what was this about? Like now that I know these kids are coming to my house, like it could have been deeper. I just didn't know what it was. But yeah, it was just an emotional training camp, man. I remember like going into that fight, I just couldn't lose the weight. Like it was just like one of those camps where I was like, running every fucking day. I did everything right. It's just emotionally, I just couldn't lose the weight, man. It was a weird thing. So my first time ever missing weight, 146 pounds. I probably shouldn't have been down there anyway. I go back to 155. And then at that time, I'm like, man, like I had 5 or 6 fights left in the UFC. I'm like, okay, I got to run my contract out. It was for fun at that time. I'm like, what fights were fun? I fought after Holloway. Chiesa I had a couple other ones at 155, but then Wonderboy was on his shit at 170.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, I think at that point I had 3 more fights when I fought Wonderboy. Hit up Melky, my agent at the time. I'm like, bro, I want to fight Wonderboy. Because they put Jorge Masvidal on him, and he lost to him. Like, he couldn't get him. So I'm like, I think I could beat him. Karate versus Taekwondo. I knew his range. I knew how to beat him. I knew how to beat him because of Duke. Yep. So like Duke, that was one of those camps where I gave it all to Duke. Like, he knew how to beat him because of what happened to Rick Rufus. It was like the story was writing it again. The karate guy, he's like, we have to, every time he kicks, low kick the same leg. Yep. I'm like, for real? That's that easy? Yep. It was that easy, bro. Obviously, I got punched in the face and shit. But like once I started eating him up, he's like, when his stance goes from wide base to smaller because you're beating those legs up, that's when you can punch him. But when he's wide, he's so far. That's why it's like tonight, I feel like Buckley's gonna have a hard time with that. That wide stance, that long range.
But yeah, you've also fought Wonderboy, so you know.
His range is different, man. Like it's when I fought Wonderboy at 170, it was my first time going up there. That dude was huge, bro. I remember like walking into the cage, I'm like, I'm good. Like weighing off, I'm like, good. He walks in, I'm like, I could see his head over the cage. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's big.
You're like, these motherfuckers way bigger than 45 and 55.
Even Duke said that. Dude was like, man, he's fucking big. Like, let's stay to the game plan. But we fought a perfectly game plan for him. First got to knock out Wonderboy. You know, I no lie, like shout out to Wonderboy too, good friend of mine. But like, if you watch that fight, my low kicks is what set that up. His stance got gradually closer where he couldn't play that game, and then I could find his chin, and that's how I found his chin on that right hand.
What's funny, I watched that fight almost that knockout probably twice a week. I probably see it 3-4 times when I'm working out because I work at a UFC Fit, and it does like the top knockouts, right? Yeah. And it's you're here, blah, you hit
out at a UFC Fit gym?
Yeah, that's a UFC Fit gym in the place I live, and so
that's not where you train at, though, right?
No.
That's just for like working out.
That's just working out, like lifting weights. So, but they have like a big screen, and they play that cycle all the time. So I see it all the time, and I remember Ray Rod did the lion gloves on you too when you hit him and drop them. And you're like, bah. So that was a sick highlight. So you did that fight.
That's why I went to 170, only for him. And I felt good at it. I was like, man, I feel good at 170s. And then I fought Nate Diaz, loser. That was a crazy. I won't go into that. We can go into that story. So going into that Nate Diaz fight, it's in his hometown. Walk into the locker room. USADA comes up. You got to piss. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Whatever. Like, I open the glass to the little jar to piss. Gash my hand. I need stitches right before the fight. And I'm like bleeding like crazy. Yeah. And they're like, you got to get warmed up. You got to get taped up. So I couldn't warm up for that fight. They glued it shut. Like Dana comes in the back. He's like, you want to fight or not? And I'm like, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I ain't no bitch. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm a fight.
She's like, babe, I think you proved you're not a bitch. Okay. So if you want to stop, it's totally fine.
But everyone was on us, right? They're like, yo, you going to fight or no? Because we were the main event. And like, they're waiting. Fuck. Yeah. And they were like, yo, everybody's waiting. Like, you going to fight? You have to make a decision now. And I'm like, fuck it, we're gonna do it. So they like use this like a little glue with a light to like make it like flash and like it gets hard really fast. So I get my hand glued up, and then my coach is taping me. While he's taping me, it breaks again. So I'm just bloody as fuck. So I couldn't do jiu-jitsu. I couldn't warm up. I couldn't punch nothing for that fight. I go out there and shit the bed. Like it was shittiest performance ever. And no excuses, but like that literally happened. So I mean I can't speak on the lawsuit, but I sued USADA for that. Actually, really? They're not even with us now. Fuck that. I'm not with them either. But yeah, I sued USADA for that, and they paid me out. They 1,000,000%. They were wrong, man. Like that. There was a shard of glass on top of the cap that shouldn't have been there. Like
absolutely.
And you remember back then, like you had to open the bottles.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
they would not touch it.
You had to open it. So I opened it up. The shit gets slashed. Need stitches, and like that's how that fight went down. So like I went again from knocking out Wonderboy, fucking losing to Diaz, and then 2 fights left in my contract. COVID happens.
Now, if you guys enjoyed that clip and you want to check out the whole video, click right here. And if you guys want to see other clips from this channel, click right here. Enjoy.